With thousands of games released each year, there's a lot of titles to sift through each month. But among the new releases, announcements, and Kickstarters, there's always a few games that capture our attention for one reason or another. These are the top 10 games that recently stood out from the crowd to us and are now on our radar. Hi, I'm Paula Deming from Things Get Dicey, and I've been invited by Chaz to try out a new series with Pair of Dice Paradise, which is harder to say than you might think. Pair of Dice Paradise. Pair of Dice Paradise. Hi, I'm Paula Deming. This new series is going to do something a little different. It's going to list new, old, and newsworthy games that caught our attention within the last month, and its title is going to be a lot easier to say. Several factors go into the calculation with a game that collectively blows the minds of us and everyone else, earning a score of 100. These scores are, of course, completely subjective and quite possibly completely made up. I don't know. Chaz won't share with me how the scoring works. But he did share his list of the top 10 games on the radar this month, which I'll share with you now, starting with number 10. Kicking off the countdown at number 10 with a radar score of 62 is Arena the Contest, published by Dragori Games. This game takes place in a world unified by a single empire in which it's forbidden to raise armies and make war. Instead, all major conflicts are resolved in the arena, where the best fighters represent entire nations. It's, like the UN, but with more sword fights. In this turn-based tactical combat game, players recruit teams of 3 or 4 from a wide pool of heroes, all of them experts in a combat role, like tactician, healer, and bruiser. The game is designed to offer countless combos and strategies to explore in an attempt to build a powerful and synergistic team-based combat system. The original Kickstarter for Arena the Contest ran a couple years ago and shipped to backers last May. A second Kickstarter is currently underway for an expansion for the game called Tenaris Adventures. In addition to the expansion, backers can also receive an updated version of the base game, which includes updated miniatures and a revised version 1.5 of the rules. This expanded and revised Kickstarter for Arena the Contest, which runs through February 27th, has already raised nearly $1 million at the time of this recording, which is one reason why it's on our radar this month. Up next on the countdown with a radar score of 64 is Foundations of Rome, an upcoming city-building game published by Arcane Wonders. Foundations of Rome puts players in the role of an architect, competing to construct the most magnificent structures, build domus and insulae, fountains, foundries, and more to increase your renown, gaining glory for yourself and the empire. Throughout the course of the game, players collect glory points based on the population and commerce they have brought to the city, as well as for civic buildings that can be scored based on what your opponents have built. Foundations of Rome is designed to be a large game with a quick setup time and easy-to-learn rules. Of course, Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither will Foundations of Rome be. The Kickstarter campaign for the game ended just last week, raising over $1 million in pledges, with an expected release date of January next year. That's quite a ways away, but we're hoping that this Emerson Matsuuchi design is worth the wait. The third game on our list, with an overall score of 67, is a bag-building game of space exploration, Tortuga 2199, in which players take on the role of space pirate captains on a mission to become the most powerful captain, earning the loyalty of all other pirate clans. Which sounds a lot like how I survived trumpet camp back in middle school. Players will upgrade their ship and hire new crew members, explore and conquer different sectors of the planet, fight space beasts, and ambush other captain's ships. And actually now it sounds more like a reenactment of prom night. Tortuga 2199 contains a modular playing board, spaceship miniatures, tokens, counters, and over 150 cards. Earlier this month, Grey Fox Games completed a Kickstarter for the edition of the game that they will be publishing, with an expected release date around August. It's not surprising that the fourth game on this month's list earns a hefty radar score of 68 because it's the upcoming monumental edition of longtime favorite Clash of Cultures. This monumental edition of the game packages the Clash of Cultures base game and the Civilizations and Aztecs expansion together in one box. In the game, players grow their civilization, advance their culture and tech, and leave their mark by building wonders, with this edition introducing fully sculpted miniatures of the 7 wonders featured in it. This new edition is currently scheduled for a November release and will feature a modular board for players to explore, 48 distinct advances, 7 wonders, and more miniatures and cards than you can fit in a decently sized small paper stack. It's a good comparison. The 5th game on this month's list, earning a score of 70, is Mariposa, an upcoming game about butterflies published by AEG. Every spring, millions of monarch butterflies migrate from Mexico across eastern North America. Then, every fall, millions fly back to Mexico. However, not a single butterfly ever makes the round trip. Building on this concept, Mariposa is a game of movement and set collection, which is played out over the course of 3 seasons. Butterflies head north in spring, spread out in summer, then return south in the fall. The end of each season brings a scoring round, and at the end of fall, the player with the most successful family of butterflies scores the most victory points and wins the game. And that's how most games work. You know, victory points and things. So. This game is generating a lot of buzz, which is likely due to the sweet as honey fact that it's designed by Elizabeth Hargrave, the designer of the very popular game Wingspan. Will the hive mind of gamers enjoy this game too, or will it leave them stung? And more importantly, is Chaz under the impression that Mariposas are bees? Because there's suddenly a lot of bee references here, and honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. You know what, let's take a quick break, because I'm gonna call him and find out, what's going on. Next on the list of games on the radar, earning a score of 71, is Bees, published by Next Move Games. And Bees, I can't say it without emphasizing the Z, you know what I'm saying? In Bees, currently scheduled to be released this June, players will need to prepare themselves to fight like a bee. I can do that. Should I start writing my own scripts? In the game, players will compete to optimize their flight plans to secure nectar for their hive, but they'll also need to be careful of the other bees who will be competing with them over a set of public and private scoring goals. To win, players will need to break free from their mental cocoons and spread their wings in order to... Okay, I see what's going on now. Now we're making butterfly references while talking about the bee game. Nice. Nicely done. Clever. The 7th game on this month's list reintroduces an area control staple, the upcoming new edition of Kemet, called Kemet: Blood and Sand, which features new art and upgraded gameplay with revised rules designed to be more accessible for new players. These rules go beyond the version 1.5 mini update for Kemet that was developed in conjunction with the player base several years ago. Starting from scratch and therefore not being tied down to any existing components, the designers, whose names are going to be put on the screen right here by Chaz, thanks Chaz, because I am worried about mispronouncing them, feel they have gone even further in fine-tuning the Kemet experience in this upcoming new version, which seems to be planned to go to Kickstarter later this year. This month's 8th highest scoring game, with a value of 79, is the recently released A War of Whispers, published by Starling Games. In A War of Whispers, 5 mighty empires are at war for the world. However, the players are not one of these mighty rulers. Instead, they are members of a secret society that is betting on the results of this war while pulling the strings to rig the results and ensure their bets pay off. The result is a game of strategy, hidden agendas, and shifting loyalties, in which the primary goal is to ensure that when the game ends, the empires you are most loyal to control the most cities across the globe. War of Whispers was featured as one of Chaz's top 10 picks in his video series listing the top 100 games coming out at last year's Essen Spiel. This information is, let's face it, completely irrelevant to this video. But Chaz wanted to make sure that I point out how other people are excited about a game he was excited about first. Classy. Accumulating a score of 90 is Return to Dark Tower, which recently wrapped up a phenomenally successful Kickstarter campaign, which raised over $4 million for the updated and enhanced modern version of this game, which will be shipping to backers a year from now, because that's how Kickstarter works. This is a sequel of sorts to the 1981 classic game Return to Dark Tower. In this version, 1 to 4 players travel the land as venturing heroes. Together, they gather resources, cleanse buildings, defeat monsters, and undertake quests to build up their strength and discern which foe ultimately awaits them. When the heroes face the tower, the game shifts into its dramatic second act, where the players have one chance to defeat the enemy once and for all. The game features traditional game mechanisms such as engine building and resource management, paired with an app-driven storyline and, of course, the menacing mechanical mechanisms of the tower, which haunts and taunts players while harboring more than a few secrets of its own. And the game that made the biggest blip on our radar this past month, earning an overall score of 93 points, is The Isle of Cats. Designed by Frank West. You're thrilled. The Isle of Cats is billed as a competitive, medium-weight, card-drafting polyomino cat placement board game for 1 to 4 players. Do you know what a polyomino is? Polyomino cat placement board game. He loves it. In this game, players are citizens of Squall's End, who are on their way to the Isle of Cats on a mission to rescue as many cats as possible before the evil Lord Vesh arrives. Each cat is represented by a unique tile and belongs to a family, and players must find a way to make them all fit on their boat while keeping families together. The Isle of Cats was on Kickstarter last summer, because really what board game these days isn't, and it's starting to make its way to backers now, with a retail release scheduled for around March. Whether you consider yourself a cat person or a dog person, you'll feel like a queen bee while playing the Isle of Cats. The P game was like 4 games ago. Like, why would you? Those are the games that are on the radar as of February 2020. For more board game countdowns, news, previews, playthroughs, and poorly timed insect references, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the videos posted on the channel. And until next time, I'm Paula Deming from Things Get Dicey in association with Pair of Dice Paradise. Bye, y'all. I have cat hair on me now.